Okay, so I'm going to walk through here how to create a data set which you can use to pass to a machine learning model and then train it. So to show you my setup, basically I'm working in this folder here on this file called dataset, and I've got a folder called images, which are the images that I want to return to, which I want to return from my dataset when I index it. So just some products there. So what we're going to do firstly is we want to list those products. We want to find out what products are in that dataset. What files are in that folder. So we're going to import OS, and then we're going to say that the we'll say image file paths are equal to os dot list directory of we'll make a variable called root directory is equal to images, we'll call it, imgs images, like that. So then we'll list what's in root directory. So os.list directory, operating system, just list what's in this directory. So then, we can print image file paths, run that. Cool. These are all the images. There's a list of them in that folder. Now, we actually want to create a class, which is going to be, we're going to call image dataset, and we're going to be using PyTorch. So you'll see me clean that up in a second, but we're going to import, we're going to go from, we're going to go from torch.utils.data, import dataset data. We're going to import dataset. So that's a parent class which this dataset is going to inherit from. So it just makes it into a special torch dataset. So we'll say then self. We'll just put the. So we'll create a constructor function. So we'll say def init. So to initialize this class, what we're going to do is this is actually going to take in an argument which defines what the root directory is. So then we're going to say in this class self.image file paths. So the image file paths of this class are equal to those which are listed in the root directory, basically. And then we are going to create a function to get the item of a certain index. So we'll use the magic function get item, and I like to change this item for index. So basically this has the double underscores because it's a magic function, and what that means is that it's called not when you just call something like this. So if we say dataset is equal to an instance of this image dataset, you might think that we have to call this to run this function. We would have to do dataset dot get item, but actually the reason it's a magic function is because this is exactly equivalent to this. So dataset, and then we would you pass in some index, there. These two lines are exactly the same thing. So the get item method defines what happens when you index a class. So what do we want to happen when we index this dataset? We want to return the image file path at that. Well, not the image file path. We actually want to return the image which is at that index in the list of image file paths. So we'll say image file path is equal to self.image file paths of that index. And now we have the image file path, we actually want to read it. So the way we're going to read it is we're going to import PIL, Python image library, and from that we're going to import image with a capital I. So that's just a just a library for dealing with images in Python. So then we'll say the actual image is equal to image dot open of image file path. So now we're going to open this file path which we got, which is that this some index in the list. So if we index if we say dataset 0, it's going to get us, it should get us this this file path name there. So we can see that if we run this, that should be defined. So let's just write the rest of this function here. So we're going to open this image, then we'll get it here. We'll say that x is equal to this, and then we'll say x.show. Run that. Yep. So we actually need to append the root directory to that. So the image file path is so image file path is equal to self dot. We need to get the root directory here. So we'll say self dot root directory is equal to root directory there. So now this class knows what I'm referring to when I write the root directory. So we want to get this file path, which is this thing, and we want to put on the beginning of that the root directory, because I can't search from here to this file because it's not there. It's actually in images. So I need to go images /. So and this root directory could be anything. So I'll change that to something appropriate now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do os.path.join to join together the root directory and then the file path, the file name of the index there. So then we can run this, and there we go. There we have this picture. Now we've returned that image. Okay. But the next thing is that using PyTorch, when we pass we can't pass that image into our model, right? We actually need to convert it to a not just a matrix but a torch tensor. So that's the kind of object which can be used for mathematical operations through our torch models. So what we're going to allow is the opportunity for you to pass in a transform into this data set. So we'll specify that as none by default, and then we'll make some transforms here. So we'll do from torch vision, so PyTorch's vision library, we'll import transforms like that, and then we can say we'll say that our transform is equal to transforms dot to tensor. So this to tensor converts a PIL image into a torch tensor. So, and then we can set this the transform equal to that transform we set there. So we can just put that here for now. Why not? And now we can say the standard thing to do is say if self. So let's define the self.transform first. So this instance, the class is transform is equal to transform, and then we'll say if self.transform, i.e. if we've given it something that's not none, then we're going to apply that transform to our image. So we'll say the image is equal to self.transform of the image. So when we call this function here, it returns us a callable object, and then when we call that object with some PIL image, it will return a torch tensor. So we were getting an image before. Now if we run this again, we'll get an error because we won't be able to show it because it's torch tensor. So instead we can just print x. And then run that. and then this is the tensor, which represents that image numerically, right? So now we can actually do maths with this, which is what we need to do. Okay. So yeah, basically that's how you create a data set in PyTorch, and then you can index it here. And so like this is for an unsupervised data set where we haven't got a label, but if we did have a label, for example, say we had a spreadsheet full of classes or whatever, class labels for each image, then we could say something like label is equal to, I don't know, we could like import pandas to read spreadsheets. That's just a library that reads spreadsheets as PD, usual thing to call it. So then we could say label equals pd.read CSV, and then file name there, and then that would read us the data in the CSV, and then we could index that and get everything that we want from it, and then we would just return not just the image but the label as well. Okay, so then we can and this is really a general approach just to show you an easy example. So we can return whatever we want and get it in any way just by defining by setting up what this dataset class needs to know and how it's going to get what it wants. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to cut it there.